Hello friends, it's time for another tier video because I've noticed that I guess y'all have been enjoying these tier videos, and honestly they're very easy for me to make. In particular, I've noticed that these tier videos that I do that don't have me on video actually get more views, which is perfect because it's even easier to do it this way. But yeah, let's talk about the most hated zodiac signs. I wanted to clarify what I mean by that. So today we're not talking about, just because you are this sign people like you or not. That's not really what I mean. This is more coming from my experience. I'm not on social media anymore, but I used to be, and I would be in these astrology groups, and I noticed that by far, like within astrological circles, certain signs are revered or despised much more so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about what signs do people who are interested in astrology hate the most in general. So at the bottom is going to be the most hated, and at the top will be the most loved signs, but also maybe the most ignored signs, because honestly it's really interesting how certain signs are despised, some are revered, and some like aren't really talked about at all, it seems, in astrological circles and communities and things like that. So yeah, let's kind of get into it here. And do I want to start with the normal order? Let's do Aries first, actually. So what's really interesting to me is that Aries is a very outgoing sign, very in your face, very dramatic, very energetic. I would think that people would have very strong opinions about Aries in astrology, but they actually kind of fly under the radar, which is I don't understand that. Like, if I love Aries, don't get me wrong, but if there is a sign worthy of some criticism or maybe mild annoyance, I would think it would be Aries, because again, I love them, but they're very in your face and dramatic. So but yeah, that doesn't seem to be the case. They kind of just fly under the radar. Maybe it's just like too easy to make a joke of them. And again, I don't mean any disrespect. I sound very disrespectful, but I don't know what it is. But I wouldn't say that they're the most loved / ignored. Or in other words, I don't think they're the least hated sign. They do get a little bit of flack from time to time. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, they really seem to fly under the radar. Next is Aquarius. Aquarius, I think, is definitely made fun of and kind of criticized a little bit more. I sound so negative, but really the whole premise of this video is negative, so I guess I get a free pass. But yeah, Aquarius, I do think, is one of the more misunderstood signs, one of the more disliked signs, maybe. Well, and some of these signs are like loved and hated at the same time. Aquarius is like the sign of astrology, and so I guess it gets some love in that regard, but in general, I think it's one of the more disliked signs. Aquarius can be kind of awkward, and I don't know. I just think it does get some criticism for sure, from what I remember. This was years ago, by the way, but I was in these groups for years. I actually became a moderator of a major group, Anything Astrology. I don't know. Shout out to that group. I don't know if anyone. I don't know how it's doing now. Like I said, that was 4 years ago. But I very briefly was a moderator there, believe it or not. Anyway, so Cancer is next. Cancer, everyone just makes fun of for being emotional. I mean, and it's funny because Cancers will get really upset if you say that they're emotional, which, I mean, doesn't that kind of prove the point? But I'd say average. I mean, they're just kind of your run-of-the-mill. They get some jokes, but they get some love too. I'd say they're probably on the average side. Next is Capricorn. Capricorn would be somewhere in the middle as well. I promise not all of my ratings are going to be in the middle like these have been so far, but I think it would be somewhere in the. I don't want to say it's more liked though. I would say it's on the dislike side, I think, or average. It kind of flies under the radar. I'm going to say average. I mean, Capricorn does kind of fly under the radar. If anything, I think, people, well, let me put it this way. Like, there's not a lot of Capricorns that are into astrology, I don't think. I think Capricorn, the very nature of Capricorn, like, doesn't really gel with astrology. I'm not saying there's, like, no one out there that has Capricorn sun that's into astrology. Like, of course there are. If you're listening to this, you've probably got some Capricorn placement somewhere. But I'm just saying, in general, though, Capricorn is very, like, practical and materialistic. They're not really interested in just sitting around and kind of like mulling things over and thinking, introspection and things like that. So I don't know. I think they're kind of, there's like a disconnect between Capricorn and astrology, I feel like. Next is Gemini. Gemini is definitely one of the most hated signs in astrology. They easily, like, I don't know what it is. They consistently get ranked. I hate it when people phrase things like that, but I just did it. Gemini is consistently ranked as one of the most hated signs, most disliked signs, most misunderstood signs. I think part of it is that people think they understand Gemini more than they actually do. Gemini has this dualistic nature, and so to other people, Gemini just sounds like they're contradicting themselves. But Gemini sees things from a more like nuanced perspective. Obviously, I'm biased because I myself have a lot of Gemini placements, but yeah, Gemini is hated, disliked, almost more than any other sign. There's like 2 or 3 that are the most hated, I would say, and Gemini is definitely one of them. Next is Leo. So Leo, I don't think is really, well, Leo in general gets a lot of love, but again, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about in astrological communities. I think many people that are into astrology are kind of like empaths, or they can run on the shy side, introverted side. They're introspective, spiritual, things like that. So again, it's almost like there's a disconnect between Leo and astrology. But don't get me wrong, Leo King is obviously a Leo astrologer. Leo can be very open, to ideas, even kind of out there ideas, like astrology. So, anyway, I'm getting off topic. Leo is, I think it kind of reminds me of Cancer when it comes to their relationship to or their reputation with the astrological community, because they do get some criticism, but it's almost like they're too easy to criticize. Like, it's not really, they're kind of just in your face, and everyone knows that they love attention and stuff. So I mean, I don't think they're particularly despised astrologically. Next is Libra. I'm going to put Libra all the way at the top because maybe, I guess this is kind of typical of what we would expect from Libra, but Libra really just skates by, and for some reason they don't get a lot of attention, negative or positive. Like, they just aren't really seen in the astrological community. Like, I don't know, they're just not talked about. People don't really they don't love to love him. They don't love to hate him. Certain signs or personalities are more controversial, and I just think Libra is like the least controversial. So it's kind of just isn't even in the conversation. Next is Pisces. Pisces is going to be at the top as well, but for a completely different reason. Pisces is loved, okay? Any Pisces that is into astrology goes on, and I'm going to get in trouble here, but they go on and on about, we're the best sign, we're the wisest, we're the last, which I never really understood, because if you're the last sign, wouldn't you be the youngest? But I get it. Like, Pisces is said to be the wisest, but at the same time, like, Pisces can be kind of a mess. I mean, that's my opinion. But I mean, have you ever met a Pisces? They don't often have their shit together, but at any rate, I guess it makes sense that, again, it's more about does the sign gel with astrology itself, and in this case it totally does, because Pisces is introspective. It is all about thinking about feelings and things like that. So also, Pisces is very open to unusual ideas and experiences. Most people who have Sun in Pisces have Mercury there as well, and Mercury is debilitated there. And when you have debilitated placements, it makes you more open to strange ideas such as astrology. So I know that was a bit of a reach, but if you followed my reasoning, you could see how Pisces is open to strange ideas such as astrology, or ideas that aren't accepted by other people. So it makes sense that Pisces gels. Pisces is one of the most popular signs in astrological communities, for sure. Next is Sagittarius. Sagittarius really just kind of flies under the radar as well, which again to me is so weird, because Sagittarius is a very belligerent sign. They can be very overly zealous, overly passionate. I love Sagittarius. It's really one of my favorite signs. But again, like, I would think they would get more flack, or, I think people would make fun of them more. Yeah, they kind of just, I don't think they're ignored or loved to the extent that Libra and Pisces are, but they kind of just fly under the radar. I don't know why no one's. You know what I've actually talked. Whenever I talk about a Sagittarius with someone, they always go, "Oh, I don't know any Sagittariuses," and I'm like, "That's weird because I have met so many, but that's probably because of my own astrology. I have descendant and North Node in Sagittarius." Next is Scorpio. Scorpio is, well, they're kind of the most hated and the most loved. So I wonder, can I actually duplicate this? I'm going to put them. Oh, whoops. I don't even know how to use this. I'm going to put them on both sides, which I didn't even think of that till just now. But they really are on both sides. Like, they are consistently in the group of signs that are hated the most. Again, we're talking about astrological communities. I already explained that. But Scorpio is also loved the most. Like, astrologers have a huge hard-on for Scorpio. I don't really know why. I mean, I guess it kind of goes along with Pisces. Both are, deep and emotional, mysterious. Everyone always talks about how misunderstood Scorpio is, which I guess they are. But if everyone knows that you're misunderstood, how misunderstood could you actually be when there's signs out there that people think they understand but they don't, like Libra and Gemini? That's just my opinion. But anyway, yeah, astrological circles, communities, groups on Facebook, everybody's talking about Scorpio. Everyone either loves Scorpio, they hate Scorpio. It's kind of like Trump in a way. I know that's kind of a weird comparison, especially because he doesn't really have any Scorpio placements. But I'm just saying, like, the idea, that's what it reminds me of. Everyone either loves them or hates them. Everyone's just, either way, they're just talking about them. That's how Scorpio is. It's controversial, edgy, whatever. I don't personally get it, but, like, to me, Scorpio is, don't come after me. I love maths is going to be in the comments, like, I wonder what he'd have to say about this. Anyway, next would be Taurus. This is another one that kind of just flies under the radar, and this to me actually makes sense because Taurus is like, to me, in my opinion, they'd be like the least easy to make fun of. They're just very consistent. They're practical, but not like overly practical. They're practical, but they're still relatable. Like, they're still kind of cool, usually, if that makes sense. They're still a little charismatic. So yeah, they kind of just, they're a normie sign, I guess you could say. Like, they don't get a whole lot of attention in astrology circles. And next is Virgo. Virgo gets a lot of hate. They go down in the group with Gemini, Scorpio, and Virgo. This really refreshes my memory. It really always was Gemini, Scorpio, and Virgo that were hated the most constantly, and then sometimes Aquarius. It was always those 3 or 4 that everyone loves to pick on for some reason. And in my personal opinion, yes, I am biased because I do have Sun and Mercury in Virgo. But I think it's unfair that Virgo gets picked on and hated as much as they do. And again, that was years ago. I don't know if it's still like that. Someone let me know in the comments. If you're plugged into these groups and social media and stuff, let me know if it's still like that. I would think it probably is. But I think it's unfair, not just for myself. I don't really care about myself in this context. I just mean, like, I've known many people with Sun in Virgo or other placements in Virgo. And are there asshole Virgos? Yes, but they are few and far between. I think Virgo, and again, maybe I'm biased, but I think they're usually pretty quiet, like very kind people. More so than most of the other signs, in my opinion. So honestly, I think what it is that each sign is known for its loudest version. And the loudest version of Virgo is usually going to be an asshole. They're going to be very critical, cold, or they're going to come across condescending, even if they don't mean to be. So I get that. Like, if you're just judging each sign by its loudest version, then yeah, Virgo's not going to do very well. But most Virgos aren't loud, or, they're usually a little understated. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. But whatever your opinion is, I do definitely think it's one of the most hated signs. But you know what's interesting? I'm going to close this out by saying I've done polls, and consistently people will say the signs that they think are the smartest are all of these ones at the bottom. Gemini, Scorpio, Virgo, and Aquarius are consistently said to be the smartest, but they're also the least popular. Coincidence? I think not. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me for these 15 minutes. I hope that was fun for you or interesting. I was gonna say I hope you learned something, but I don't think it was really that informational. Maybe it was. I don't know. But yeah, let me know. You guys gave me some great ideas on how to rank the signs. I'm still gonna do some or maybe all of those ideas. But yeah, keep them coming. If you have any more ideas on how to rank the signs, please let me know. And if you want to have a reading, check out my website for information on readings. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.